Hello, this is Benjamin Fulford speaking on June 19th, 2026. Earlier this week, I got a call from the Defense Intelligence Agency, and they told me that they had replaced Donald Trump and that the new version, one controlled by the White Hats, was going to go to the G7 summit in France. And it is clear from the behavior of this new Trump that the people who controlled Trump until June of 2025 have reasserted control over the official U.S. Commander-in-Chief. He's not as good looking as the one who disappeared in June of 2025, and I'm sure he's not ever going to get laid with Melania, but it does look like the White Hats are back in charge. And this little recording of him speaking about Israel, saying they wouldn't exist without America, well, just listen to him talk about Israel.
Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long, and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you. I didn't like where 2 hours before we're signing the agreement that there was an attack in Lebanon, in Beirut. It wasn't like in the southern side, and it was in Beirut. I did not like that. I let them know that. Now, I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah. They should have been able to do this job faster. It just goes on forever. And when that happens, it throws a negative light on the big deal, and that's the deal with Iran.
And that surprised a lot of people. People like Henry Mako say, oh my goodness, he's going to get assassinated just like Kennedy because he went against Israel. But this is different this time. And it is clear that the U.S. military has been fighting. And these are the White Hats sent around the U.S. Space Force who seem to have taken back control. And here's another sign. Take a look at Trump ignoring the Ukrainian dictator Vladimir Zelensky at the G7, refusing his handshake. Okay, these are important symbolic gestures. It's very clear that the United States military White Hats have taken back control, but it's also clear that the battle is not yet over. So, for example, when I tried to access the Iranian National News Agency website to find out what had been agreed with the U.S. and the Trump administration and the Iranian government, the site was blocked. Okay, they're trying to prevent me from reading it. However, the official Xinhua news agency had the text of the agreement, and it's clear that the United States has promised to give $300 billion to Iran as compensation. What's interesting is, even though this official agreement was published, someone in charge of the Trump social media said, oh, this is fake news, I'm not giving $300 billion. So there's definitely a fight going on. It's not over yet. And the other thing I've noticed is that it looks like Ben Gvir is the new strongman in Israel and for the Zionists. The Benjamin Netanyahu avatar is wearing thin. And this guy is not a nice guy. Listen to him talk about how they have to keep destroying houses in Lebanon.
להמשיך לפעול גם בניגוד לעמדה של ארצות הברית, כן? אנחנו מדינה עצמאית, ואנחנו לא יכולים להפסיק להרוס בתים בדרום לבנון, לא יכולים להפסיק לא לתת לאוכלוסייה בדרום לבנון לחזור, זה מסכן את החיילים שלנו, זה מסכן את התושבים שלנו. אסור לנו לתת להם לחזור לגבולות, לחזור למה שהיה לפני השביעי לעשירי, ואנחנו חייבים להמשיך לשלוט בשטח, גם בניגוד לדעתו של הנשיא טראמפ.
Okay, but more important is that after he made statements like this, he tried to get a visa to go to Florida, and he was refused. So this top Zionist guy was going to try to fly to Florida to see what happened with their Trump avatar and why he wasn't reading their script anymore. and they wouldn't let him into the country. And the other thing that's going on is that the agreement between the United States, or it's the, what is it, Memorandum of Understanding, makes it clear that Israel is not part of this deal. In other words, if Israel keeps fighting in Lebanon, they will be destroyed. And the Hezbollah say they have already destroyed 518 Israeli military vehicles and 85 warplanes. Okay, that means they're really close to the bottom. And you have people like J.D. Vance reminding the Israelis that without American weapons, they're toast. So, you know, it really does look like the tide has turned. However, and the key is this, if the $300 billion is going to be given to Iran, it means that control of the dollar system, the financial system, has fallen to the white hats. You know, because if it's still Howard Lutnick, and I don't think so. Look at him in this little video, how unhappy he looks at the new Trump speaking off script, or off their script.
I think Israel too. Look, think of what Israel's getting. They're not going to be nuked. It's very simple. I told Bibi, your biggest risk was that they'd drop a nuclear weapon into the middle of Israel. They'd only need one, and there would be no more Israel. Think of it, Bibi. You got the best, the most important thing that you were asking for is that.
But if Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent and those guys and Jared Kushner have lost control, this is a very important thing. And there are other signs they have lost control. For example, it's, you know, now it looks like Peter Thiel's been outed as having his own little secret society with people like Kushner and the Secretary of the Army and, you know, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, on board, and they've been outed. So the big question, though, is if they've managed to take control of the dollar machinery away from these criminals, then we really do need to get working on much bigger issues than just getting the oil back. And it was a surrender, because Trump signed this agreement at Versailles, the same place where they signed the surrender in World War I. And he said so. If we didn't do this, we would have run out of oil in 4 weeks. The official U.S. estimate of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is 340 million barrels, which is enough for 17 days of U.S. consumption. So clearly, they had to do this in order to get oil, and now the price of oil is crashing. But the important thing is that the immediate crisis has been averted, but we need to completely revamp a Western system of governance. Right now, support for major leaders in major Western countries like Germany, the UK, France are at record low levels. In the United States, according to a new Fox poll, only 25% of Americans trust the government. All right, that means that the government is no longer representing the American people. It's not trusted. It's not functional. And if we do not reform the system of economic and social management, China is going to leave us in the dust. Already, you know, the U.S. produces like 1% of what China does in terms of ships, 10% in terms of whatever. They've completely lost the economic war, and that means that we need to set up a future planning agency. The Chinese have got the support of 160 nations now for a revamp of the system of international relations that's more fair and that deals with issues that the whole planet faces, like Antarctica. And by the way, there's something very, very strange going on in Antarctica. I was reading news reports that the temperatures were 15 or 20 degrees centigrade, which is like almost 40 Fahrenheit, above normal temperatures. And this is supposed to be midwinter, but everything's melting. And so I asked my Space Force contacts with Antarctica connections, and they said there's some kind of serious proxy war there using weather weapons between the white hats and the dark hats. This is a bit woo-woo territory, but the fact is that it's not normal to have temperatures 20 degrees above normal, and it was supposed to be Antarctic midwinter. So something strange is happening there. But getting back to the here and now, the Dragon family is ready to offer unlimited financing for the reconstruction of the United States and the West. All they're asking in return is, you know, to remove the criminals who've taken over, the satanic child murderers we've taken over your government, and that is going to happen. There's more and more reports that they're killing people with bioweapons. It's coming out every day, but we still don't see any arrests. So hopefully, the White Hats, now that they're back in charge, they can go in, they can round up all the members of Congress who've accepted, leadership or obedient, who obey Israel like slaves, completely contrary to the wishes of the American people. Once they're arrested, we'll know this is really happening. But the fact that this Trump has changed everything he's saying is a very good sign, and we need to support him. And the other thing is that Christians need to get more active. I was just, putting together pieces, and it looks like they burned or destroyed more than 100 churches in France in the past year. In Canada, it's like 132 churches, and they're destroying churches in the UK. Christians are under attack everywhere, and it's not just Christians. In Japan, in the past year, 87 different Buddhist and Shinto temples and shrines were destroyed. So there's a serious fanatic group that is destroying houses of worship that they disagree with, and something has to be done about that. Now, getting back to the Middle East, a big question mark now is what's going to happen to Saudi Arabia. And this is important because this is a country where a man's testimony is worth more than twice of a woman's testimony. What that means, and if a woman is caught cheating on her husband, the punishment is they bury her up to the waist in the ground, and then they throw rocks at her until she's dead. So that means any guy can say, my wife cheated on me, and even if she says, no, it's not true, they can just kill her. That's the sort of country that you're supporting when you're buying oil from these people. Well, the G7 just announced that they're going to try to get more oil from Canada. All right, I mean, Canada's not perfect, but they don't stone women to death. They're right next door. They're similar kind of people, and it's the Rockefeller brothers who've been preventing Americans and Asians from buying Canadian oil. They finance these fake First Nations activists, and they finance this whole fake witch hunt about kids being killed at residential schools, which is just false. But that's over now, and I do recommend that the United States start buying oil again from Canada and not from Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is slowly going bankrupt. Even though they have now been able to export oil through the Strait of Hormuz for the first time since February, they're having to pay a tax of $1 in each barrel, and the Chinese aren't buying anymore. So they're in trouble, right? And with the price of Brent down at $75, they're about $40 under budget for every barrel they're selling. So hopefully they'll go bankrupt, because that is a country run by satanic crypto Jews. They should not be in charge of the Muslim places of worship, because they're not themselves actually Muslims. So hopefully something will happen there. But in any case, the Russians are moving up to set up a new regional association for the Middle East, and according to this agreement, the United States military is going to withdraw. So hopefully we will see the end of the satanic government in Israel and its replacement with the nation state of Judea, which would include all people from the region, including the native Judeans, misleadingly called Palestinians, as well as the immigrants from Europe, and they can live together in peace, which is what was supposed to be happening in the first place. And they can go ahead and rebuild their temple, because it's not on the ground of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It's somewhere totally else where the original temple was. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is located on an old Roman fort, which is, these are the people this is forts which are the people who destroyed the Second Temple. It's not the location of the Second Temple. So please, wake up and check your facts, and let's get this show on the road, because humanity has been held back long enough. We have technology now that can allow us to live thousands of years. We have access to virtually unlimited free energy. It means we can stage a Cambrian explosion type event on this planet. We can all live like millionaires, even as we restore natural ecosystems. And all we need to do is set up the Future Planning Agency to figure out how to do it, because the technology is there. The only thing that's missing is good governance in the West. That's the only thing that's stopping us. So hopefully, with the White Hats back in charge, we can finish this off, and it's about time. It is also clear that the American people at the street level are waking up to their controllers, which is making it impossible for the Zionists to keep the American people suppressed, no matter what they do to their top leaders. Take a look at this person recording so-called FBI agents coming to his house, just to see what I mean.
Hi.
How you doing? Just to let you know that if you lie to an FBI agent, you get charged with that. I know you are. Let's see, Craig Britton, correct?
What's this about?
Okay. Comments that you post online.
Which comments?
I'll discuss it after you stop recording.
I'm not going to stop recording.
Okay. Then we'll come back another day and talk to you. Okay.
You should not come back. You don't have a warrant.
No, we don't.
You have no probable cause to do this.
No,
You're haranguing and harassing me.
I'm having.
What is your name, sir?
You gave my name already. I told you who I was.
Please repeat your name.
I told you once
Please.
before.
Why are you evading? Why are you going to run away from my property? What are you doing?
Have a good day.
Do I not have the right to know what your name is after you've harangued me? Ma'am, what is your name? Sir, what is your name? Ma'am, what is your name? Please don't come back from my property.
Have a good day, Craig.
I will not have a good day because my tax dollars are being spent on this. Do you guys not have a life? Is this what you do? You have to harangue people for posting online? You have nothing. You have nothing. Get out. Get real jobs. You can do better than this.
So, if you run into one of these people, immediately turn on your camera, start recording, because they fear the truth, they fear publicity, they only get their power in the shadows. So let's all of us, citizen journalists, grab our cameras, and if you see one of these elites, don't let them get away. Film them, confront them. Let's chase them out of this country once and for all. Alright, well that's what I have to say for myself today. Now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Evan, we have our first question for today. So again, since it has been said the U.S. will be the last to remove the Satan worshippers from power, have other global areas already had economic resets and advanced sciences and medicine implementation? If the United States has this advanced space force, then some people in the U.S. must now have advanced technology in many sciences, including the medical field. Do you think that this sort of thing exists within the United States and it's just being hidden from us, or is the United States just not there yet because we haven't kicked out the Satanists?
It's clear that, according to the American Academy of Sciences, more than 6,000 patents have been suppressed for so-called social safety, national security reasons. So a lot of that technology is there. Anti-gravity is definitely there, and I've been trying to get some real intelligence on med beds, because I have a very sick friend in the Dragon family who could use some of that technology right about now. But the Chinese are definitely moving ahead in many different directions, and also in Russia there's been incredible advances. But the real big breakthroughs have not appeared yet. We haven't seen anti-gravity being made available to the general public, but and also there's still a taboo preventing us from enhancing ourselves genetically, which is something we can do. I don't see why not. If we can create food out of hydrogen and carbon without destroying the environment, then why not have more people, and why not have them live longer? There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do that. So the bottom line is, a lot of the technology is there, but even if it's not, once we have a system of government that's actually working to make people live longer and be healthier and happier instead of the opposite, then it won't be long before we can find this stuff and figure out how to make it work. Next question.
Hi, Ben. Could you give us a quick summary of things that are currently going on in South Africa? Do you have any news from there as of recent?
No, I do not. So let me write about South Africa in next Monday's report. I'll do some research.
Hi, Ben. I was told that nothing big will be happening before July 4th. Are your sources telling you the same thing? There seems to be this idea that a lot of things are going to start moving very rapidly after the date July 4th for whatever reason. And maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what that reason is specifically.
I'm not the person behind the July 4th story, and I'll be honest, every year for like more than a decade, they always say, oh, something's going to happen on July 4th. It's already happened. I mean, the Trump avatar has been replaced with someone who has reached a deal with Iran to end the war and who is being critical of Israel. So it is beginning, but what we really need to see is control of the internet and the mega corporations taken away from these people. Hopefully that'll happen before July, but generally speaking, things usually slow down in July and August and then pick up again in the autumn. But right now there's definitely a big offensive going on, and the White Hats are definitely winning. But I don't have any specific information about July 4th other than that two major false flags are being planned and the White Hats are trying to stop them. But even if they do stage something, nobody's going to be fooled and think it was Iran that did it. They all know it was Israel. So hopefully, once they realize it's not going to accomplish what they want, they will back off on these plans, because all it will do is lead to Israel being destroyed. Next question.
Hi, Ben. People like you have said that Israel has lost or is losing a lot. And a lot of us, if not most of us, I think, hope that this is true. When it is true, does the land go back to the Palestinian people? And who takes the nuclear weapons that Israel supposedly has? And does Israel actually have nuclear weapons, or has this just been a scare tactic? How does this work?
Well, it is clear that if they had nuclear weapons, they would have used them by now, and I believe the reason they're not using them, and you know, the multiple insiders say they do have them, but the fact is they're such a tiny country that it's like someone living in a glass house throwing stones. If they try to nuke anyone, they will cease to exist. They'll become a molten glass area the size of New Jersey. That's all that's going to happen if they try to use them. But clearly we need to have an international peacekeeping force move into the region and disarm everybody and help, establish peace. Next question.
Hi, Ben. We have our last question for today. Very interesting stuff recently coming out of Alex Jones, and I would like your opinion on him as a reporter and as to his credibility. Do you think he's on the right side of things? He seems to have teeter-tottered both ways in the past. What are your thoughts?
Well, I met him once many years ago in Chicago, and he seemed to be pretty sincere. I think that for a long time he had some constraints. He wasn't going to attack Israel, for example. I haven't been following his work recently, but generally his heart is in the right place, and he has helped wake up a lot of people. I would say when it comes to the truth movement, he's like a gateway drug. He gets people started on the right path, and then they have to dig further and deeper elsewhere. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself this week, and I hope to see you next week. And the following week, I'll be back in Canada and reporting from there. So, hope to see you next week.